Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Mac.
And today we're giving a chippy review on Welcome to the Moon, which is a part of the Welcome to series, and it is, I think, their most recent release in that Welcome to world. Outside of maybe now, I think they might have had a deluxe edition with everything in it or something. They might have released something like that, but I guess I don't know if that actually includes this or if it's just the original Welcome to with its, I think it has several expansions.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one is kind of a campaign. It can be a campaign, or you can play it kind of just the different scenarios kind of by themselves individually. And we'll try not to spoil too much, but I don't know.
There's not a lot.
There's not really a lot to be spoiled, I would say.
No. We probably won't get into it too much.
And I can't remember if I did a unboxing for this one. This one's been on the shelf for a little bit, but we put it on we did a 20 by 5 this year, and this was one of the games so that we'd for sure get it played. The campaign is actually 8 games, so
we played a few extra.
We played one extra on top of that. Well, we played extra over the 5, yes. But yeah, then we can get into the chippy rating, but that's just kind of how we got to where we are. I was probably more excited about this one than you, but for our chippy rating, we'll start with core mechanics or mechanisms. So that's the C in chippy if you haven't watched one of our chippy reviews before. And I'm going to give this one an 8.5, mainly based on the kind of the flip and right piece to it works really well, where it's double-sided cards, just like in Welcome to if you've ever played just the normal one or the Welcome to Las Vegas. I think all the Welcome to kind of have that same base mechanism where one side of the card is a number, 1 to 15, and the other side is an action associated with that. So then you're always having those things paired with each other, and I think that's just a really solid one. This one uses that in a very similar way. I think that works. And then the way that this does kind of a campaign where it's different dry erase sheets, and you've got kind of 8 different missions you're going on, so you've got 8 different boards technically that you're playing with. I think it just worked really, really well in the game. I guess I don't know what knocks it down a little bit for me. Maybe it's just that I've seen it before in the original, and I mean, there were some cool things that happened in the campaign that changed a little bit, but overall I felt like it was something I'd seen before.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. I gave it a 7 for pretty much the same reasons. I mean, it is like the Welcome to Your Perfect Home is like the main one that we ever played, and is kind of like the original and greatest for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so it does that same core card flip piece, and the different actions do very similar things to what they do in, I will call it, the base game. But, like Zach said, you're dealing with 8 different maps, and so I guess when I look over the campaign that we did of the different, mechanics in those games, yes, the card flip is always the same, but how you interact with those different icons or action changes, as does the map, and I didn't love all of the maps. Some of them were overly complicated, I felt like, which, yes, is good for a campaign to change things up, but at the same time I felt like kind of robbed it a little bit of the essence of the thing that I loved most about it, because it just kind of turned it and flipped it on its head, which is good and stuff. It's just it's not, I don't know, it's not as pure as it was, and you gotta kind of learn to adjust.
I would say based on that, I'm just guessing now that we're gonna have some conflicting views on this game then. Because I'll say that is one of the things that I did like, having it change up, but I can see how if you are someone that likes to have it kind of feel similar from game to game and pure, to say.
I'm not saying, Welcome to Your Perfect Home, I think, could get monotonous if you just played it over and over and over again. And I think the expansions that they did helped with that, right? Because you can play, the summertime or the wintertime one. That kind of changes that up enough, too. And this changed it, but it kind of just went a little bit further than I was probably comfortable with.
Yeah. I would agree. There
At
were
least
definitely
on the
some,
first playthrough.
and there were definitely some that were, like you said, easier than others, or more easy to. Especially since you're only, assuming you go through the campaign one time, you can go through it as many times as you want, and I think it's nothing's destroyed. It's not going to probably feel that different from campaign to campaign, but the different sheets are going to feel different from each other each time you play it.
Yeah.
But yeah, some were definitely probably funner than others, and that some were easier than others to learn. But then we go to history, which is out of potentially 10. We've played this one 9 times apiece, and that's for 10% of the total rating, so we got 0.9 there.
Oh boy.
Or 9%.
Yeah, we played the first one, didn't play it for a
while.
few months, and then we decided, okay, let's get this one going again, so we just started all over.
Yeah, I think that was probably a good choice to start over. And investment, I'm coming in with a 9 here, and this is where I'm thinking we might differ, because I like I said, enjoyed the different sheets, keeping it fresh every play. I felt like that was a good thing, and then like even after the campaign, like being able to choose one of those sheets to play, I think it's just going to have a little bit more variety from time to time that I'd play it, and I'd maybe be more willing to maybe play 2 of them or something back to back, whereas in my head I'm comparing it to Welcome to Your Perfect Home. I might not necessarily want to play that one like back to back. I could see myself maybe wanting that with this one, and just the fact that you can play it as a campaign again and have yourself kind of set up to do 8 games if you need something to force yourself to get a game to the table or something. It's a fun way to do that, but at the same time, you don't have to do it as a campaign.
I'm not far off from you. I gave it a 7. I think all of the things that you said are great things about it. Like, it does, you don't have to play campaign. You can play it as a standalone. You can play the campaign as many times as you like. Those are all, I think, really solid pieces about it. The boards are good. All of that. It's easy to set up.
Yeah.
Sometimes learning it was a little rough. Some of the different campaign modes. I don't know if we just don't understand the rules in some situations. I felt like that maybe just was a barrier. Just they didn't quite do a great job explaining all of those maps to the best of their ability. They're there.
Some confusing bits.
But the other pieces, I just think I just don't think it's great at 2 players in campaign mode, because the way the campaign mode works is you're awarded stars for winning and losing, and once you get behind to a certain point in stars, like if I continually lose like I did on the last 5 games, like there's no coming back from that, so you pretty much are out of the game.
But that's any campaign though too.
Yeah,
or most campaigns, not any, but most.
Right, but it keeps it away from one person running away with it. Like, you still always kind of have a chance.
You might be trading off. You're more likely to be trading off who's actually winning versus, if you lose.
You could still always be out of it, I guess. That's not incorrect, but it just was like, okay.
No.
There's no chance at getting this back. So, the other part I felt like is the story that went with the campaign. I didn't fully understand, and I don't know if that's because I wasn't reading it or what, but it just didn't always feel super cohesive, which is kind of
if you're coming into this for the story, you're gonna probably be disappointed. It makes me think of The Crew.
Yeah.
That type of story where it's kind of just like a
Yeah.
supposed way to set up the mission.
Right, because
type thing.
The boards are static, so they have to get you to that story that matches the board in some way or another, but it just felt like I don't understand why this
a little bit adding a little bit of flavor to it, but not anything that's if you're going into it totally hoping it's a great story, I think you'll be disappointed, but maybe you just need a little bit, and maybe it'll be the perfect amount for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would agree
so
that
I just
weak.
taked it down for a couple of things that I felt like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it's still great. I think it still is a great investment for what you're getting.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, it's good. What's the time on it? 25 minutes?
25.
I think that might be a lie. I think it's a little longer than 25 minutes per mission, but still
definitely
not long.
First time through.
Not a long thing, but then we get to presentation. What do you got for that?
I gave it an 8. I like the different boards. I mean, that's really it, right? So they got cards and boards, and that's really what you're working with. So I thought the cards were good, clean, typical, very much what they always have been. I just knocked it a little bit because the boards were some of them were nice. Some of them were just a little bit messy, like hard to capture everything. And I think it's just part of the game. I don't know that they could have done it a lot better. Like when you look at Welcome to Your Perfect Home, it's just like rows of houses, right? And you're putting a number in there. And this is like, okay, this level, and then there's a break here, and then, okay, this time it's going to be circle maps, and like, so... And I just felt like sometimes even with like the background, I'm thinking especially of like 2 maps, it was like they didn't do anything to like make what you were writing in pop out from the background. So I just kind of felt like I lost some kind of context of like where I was looking and what I was doing, because it wasn't super clear to me on some of those, like where the rows were, or like where I'm supposed to be filling in, how that works. And part of that I think is just because they shifted it up, but it's not a bad presentation. I love that it's marker, easy erase,
dry erase,
marker. I thought that was really good, other than when you like accidentally wipe down your board with your sleeve or something. But other than that, I felt like
I'd rather have that
solid
than sheets, though.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, that was my kind of one negative. I probably didn't feel as strongly about it as you, just because I felt like they were just trying to make the maps feel different, and sometimes I think that was maybe to their detriment a little bit, just that it ended up sometimes looking a little more sloppy than maybe it could have, but I'm giving it a 9.5, just because the sheets are awesome. We have a version of Welcome to Your New Home with the other
paper,
like seasonal ones. We had the paper originally, and then we got these sheets, so maybe you're taking them for granted, but I'm thinking if we would have just had the paper version, this would feel like a huge upgrade compared to that. We've just already had that, but I'm thinking about it like that. You are spoiled. But then, the cards are great, and I think the booklets themselves, like sometimes some of the rules were just a little iffy in the rule book itself, but like the campaign log and whatever, I think that was pretty easy to flip through and stuff, so I thought that was pretty well done. And also, they kept the box size pretty reasonable. I think they could have made it larger than this, and it didn't need to be any bigger than this, so I'm glad that they did not make it like a Ticket to Ride size box for no reason. So I appreciate that as well.
Agreed.
Then we get to preference, and I'm going to give this one an 8. I probably prefer it as a campaign as opposed to individual games, so that's what hurts it, brings it down probably more for me, just because even though they are quicker games and it's only 8, it's something that you can actually get done, and you probably could do it on like a Saturday or Sunday if you wanted to, like start the day, and you could probably get through a campaign. I guess it depends how many players are in it. If you had the full 6-player count, maybe it would take a little bit longer, but I think you could probably get it done in a day or two if you were really trying to. And I don't know. That's the only tough part, is I'd want to play it as a campaign, and I just don't know if I'd have the time to do that. But I could have it kind of just, I think you could have it on the side of every now and then you get back to one of them and just keep track of it that way while you're playing other games. But
yeah, it's not hard. I mean, the core mech is always going to be the card flip, so.
But otherwise, I do like the things about it, and I would be interested to see certain maps and just try those ones, play those ones specifically too.
Well, I give it a 7 on preference. I mean, I think for a campaign, it's relatively simple, like, and approachable. So, like, if you're looking for something, to play with a group of friends who maybe either aren't, like, heavy board gamers or time constraints or, just something, I think this is a good game for that. We've played a lot of different campaign or legacy games, and so, like, thinking about preference that way, I mean, sure, it was good, but I feel like others that we have, maybe I liked more. I also think, like, just 2-player, I wouldn't want to play this campaign, like, over and over and over with you. No offense, it's just, I think it would be relatively the same for us. So, I think it's good. in that way and stuff, but I don't know if we were gonna do a campaign or play something, I'd probably look at something else for like specifically me or you, but like if Zach and Carson are my brother and sister-in-law, you know, if they wanted to do a campaign with like limited time, and because we did Rise of Fenris with them, which was a huge commitment, I feel like this would be more approachable in the season of life that they're in right now. So
Yeah,
good. It's good.
I would agree. How about it factor? What do you got for the last I in Chippy?
I always struggle with this. And I'm trying to think of anything we can do to change it to a Y and what that would mean, because I never know what to do with the it factor. I gave it a 7. Just because it's a quick and snappy, simple campaign, and I feel like you absolutely can get bogged down in campaigns sometimes, like Rise of Fenris or
Get scared of getting them back to the table.
Yep, Charterstone, whatever, all of these different ones. So this one, I think, just it lives in that really good area of like good and easy to play without being like too simple to like want to go back to, because they do switch it up, they do kind of change the boards on you. So I feel like it lives in that really good space, and that's what it has to recommend it as a campaign game, is that it just is that approachable, like good group game.
I would agree. I gave it a 10. It factor is just kind of a 0.5. It's 0.5
and numbers all the time.
It's a 0.5 kind of addition to it. I think it's a really great campaign, a great way to do it, because even though we did, well, technically I guess we did play the first map twice, but outside of that, even though we played through a full campaign, like in most games like Clank Legacy or Pandemic Legacy or whatever, where you're kind of technically playing on the same board and doing similar things each time, but there are some differences.
Yeah.
This, you're playing a different map every time, so it's not like, oh, I'm so used to, okay, I'm going to always do this on this map.
Yeah.
I've only played each one once, so I don't really know, even after playing 8 games of it, how to play each map necessarily the most efficiently. So that part I really love, that they're able to capture that and still have it be quick and snappy, get back to. So I'm giving it that.
I agree.
Which I think gives me a total of an 8.8. So this one's pretty high for me. I definitely recommend it if you do like a flip-and right style of games and have maybe wanted to dabble into campaign style games. It's kind of scenarios.
Yeah.
You could almost call it scenarios versus a campaign, but I think it's fun to do it as a campaign. I mean, because
you can play each one individually. So.
Yeah. So, what did you end up with?
I ended up with a 7.4.
Okay. So, yeah, not too bad. I think we would both say we would recommend this one. We like Welcome to in general, though, so know that going in. It wasn't like we hated Welcome to.
Now that you're at the end of the video.
Now that you're at the end of the video. It's not like we hated Welcome to, and then we're like, oh, but this is way better. I think I prefer this. If I was going to suggest buying one, I would suggest this over the normal Welcome to, but you would probably, sounds like you'd probably figure or feel the other way.
Yeah. I mean, it's good, but there's some games that I just feel like in their pure form are just good.
Yeah.
But, like you said, I don't know that I'd want to play games of Welcome to back, of like, just numbering the houses. But to be fair, I wasn't super stoked about playing this back to back either.
Okay.
On the few times that we did. So it's kind of like you have to be ready and open for a new challenge when you're going to do it there. So, yeah, I'd probably say Welcome to, just because it is the pure version of it.
That's fair.
It is still a good purchase. I would say it probably just depends on what your gaming group is.
Yes, it definitely depends on that. But, yeah, you'll have to check out to see if it makes either of our top 70 games of all time lists for the year. Well, I guess it depends when this video comes out, but assuming it comes out before that, you'll probably want to subscribe so you'll see that and watch every single one of the videos we put out. We'll be doing a giveaway with it, so you might want to subscribe just to make sure.
Chaos.
But like or dislike the video, depending on how you felt about it. Leave us a comment below what you think. Check out our unboxing video if I do have one. I can't remember if I did, because it was, this campaign style thing, and I didn't know if I want to spoil anything. I can't remember off the top of my head. Like I said, we've had this game for a while.
He's getting old.
I'm getting old.
And senile.
otherwise, we hope to see you on our next video, and as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.